Okay, this is Grant Mulder, and this is my software lifecycle models summary. So to start off, we need to think about our project and what model fits our project the best. So like looking through all the models and just choosing one that fits it properly. Um, we probably will use agile methods for our app because that one's the most broad and safe to choose. And we need to make sure we know the proper requirements like for the from the model for the app. And as for the design, we should increase the detail as we get deeper into development. And when building the software, focusing on reducing complexity, anticipating diversity, designing for testability, and using standards are the four columns that we need to look at. Our validation should be along the lines of something we can do to help customers, and like in other words, gaining the customer's interest for our app. So gaining like validation from the people that are going to use it. We should make sure we are building the correct system and test it in many different levels. And as for the maintenance, there are three types: corrective, perfective, and adaptive. Corrective is focused on bugs. Perfective is focusing on adding new features, and adaptive is for external environment changes, like an example is React Native, how it's always changing. The first model is a waterfall model. It proceeds down the process without going backwards, so going down the model without being able to go to the previous sections. The spiral model starts and then goes out to 4 quadrants where the functionality can be adjusted later, but it's a more complex model. The evolutionary prototyping model is used to present a prototype through development followed by a final result. The rational unified process is great for expressing time-boxed cross-discipline iterations, so going like iterating through it. The agile model is all about uh, iterative design, and it can be reached like at any section at any point. So like the whole iteration part, meaning like you can do any part whenever, just based off of when you need to do it. And we should determine what model to use based off of what the customer wants. We need to look at the potential, the risk, the constraints, the management, and the expertise of what the people involved. And we need to look over classic mistakes and make sure everyone is on the same page about our idea and what we can do about it. So we need to make sure we refer back to the classic mistakes and don't do any of those. And an example of one of the open source projects I worked on was at my church. We built a user interface sound system for a high school band. What we did was we focused on designing for testability. In one of the 4 columns would be the testability. What I found was as a group we encountered many situations where we needed to test each part of the system to make sure each individual instrument was like working properly with the system, and just like how the system works is like each part would have a different portion of a system or the sound system to connect to, in which we could like make a revolving sound system almost. From all this learning as a group, we allowed for less errors and a smoother system, like with how it rotated around and was able to go like around the entire building. Some of the classic mistakes we made were in the example. We bought some tools that were cheaper that we thought could do the job, but they weren't able to. So we had to buy some more expensive, newer tools. And then the other mistake came from this, which led us to having to change the tools that we had already bought mid-project, and that caused us to have to restructure a lot of it. And that's it for that video.